Hello everybody, and today we are going to do a wonderful video called Return of the Native. Now, Return of the Native is a beautiful novel by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy is regarded as a classic author. You know, we all hear about classics. You know, people say this is a classic. What is a classic really? Classic means a person who has gone to the depth of a character, the depth of life. So Thomas Hardy is one such author who has gone into the depth of life, of people, of characters, of situations, you know, and that is a classic author we're going to listen today called The Return of the Native. Return of the Native was a beautiful novel written by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy was born in 1840 and he was coming out of the Victorian age, I would say. Very original he was, and though his kind of social milieu and his concerns were somewhat belonging to that Victorian age, being more universal in his outlook, being a true artist, Thomas Hardy dealt with human beings with such depth, though they were in that age, that concrete story, the story during that time becomes universal, becomes eternal. Any time you can read. After 300 years, you can read Return of the Native. After 1,000 years, you can read Return of the Native. It is neither futuristic, nor present, nor past. It is universal. So, Return of the Native is a very universal novel. One of my favorite novels of Thomas Hardy. I've read all of the novels of Thomas Hardy. But Return of the Native in my mind is like that, that place is called Egdon Heath. Now, in that place, the whole story revolves. The story revolves around very, very few characters. You know, it's a lonely place. Egdon Heath. E-G-D-O-N Heath, H-E-A-T-H is a place, a wild place, very, very small town, wild almost. And that wildness also is a kind of character. Egdon Heath itself, the place itself is a character. In that, you have characters. I'm going to tell you the characters. Eustacia Y. Eustacia Y. Y-E. Eustacia Y. Clym. C-L-Y-M. Clym Yeobright. And then you have Mrs. Yeobright, Clym's mother. So you have Eustacia Y. Clym, Mrs. Yeobright. And then you have Thomasin, who is a cousin of Clym. So the aunt of Thomasin is Mrs. Yeobright. And then you have a character called Wildeave. So you can see his name also, Wildeave. And then you have another minor character called Wen, V-E-N-N, Wen. These are the 5 characters. Now, what do I say about Eustacia Y? Thomas Hardy himself devotes 3 full pages to the description of Eustacia Y. The way he describes her, he calls her a goddess. And she is, to me, Eustacia Y is a kind of goddess, and that is why she is a misfit in Egdon Heath. She is colorful, wild, passionate, knows herself, strong, willed, very strong will, and beautiful. But beautiful, bewitching kind of beauty. The kind of beauty which scares people because of the strength of character, the confidence, the power of the personality. That is Eustacia Y. And then Clym. Clym is a more gentle, good, the good man, so-called good man. Clym is that gentle-natured, nice man who is very sensitive. You meet such people in real life. And Wildeave is a lesser Eustacia Y. Wildeave is a lesser Eustacia Y. He shares Eustacia Y's wildness, but he's more on the, what should I say, negative side, more on the reckless, careless side. I would say irresponsible, not a very good person, very flawed character, Wildeave. But he shares Eustacia Y's rebellious nature, the openness, the daring and all that. So you have Clym, Eustacia Y, Wildeave. These are the major characters. You have second level characters. The Mrs. Yeobright, she's also a major character, the mother of Clym. And you have Thomasin, the cousin of Clym. And the story is so simple, But when you read the novel, it's like a torrent of events. Small place like Egdon Heath, and you have so many events taking place. The story starts with Thomason and Wilde were about to get married, and the marriage breaks down. And why does the marriage break down? Because Wilde actually is secretly in love with Eustacia. Eustacia is a person who is being trapped in Egdon Heath. It happens to all of us. We want to be in some place, but we are in some other place. We want such drama and magnificence and everything, but we are caught up in a small place. Her whole personality, it's like she's in a prison. Imagine a life, anybody's life in a prison. It's horrible. She had so much to offer the world, so much to see and express and everything, that she felt Egdon Heath to be a terrible, terrible, extreme prison. You have to understand that. A woman who's so wild, caught up in a place where she can't express her personality. That was Eustacia Wye. And Wilde was secretly in love with Eustacia Wye, and Eustacia Wye, by default, because she had nobody there, she was so bored with life, so starved. Inside, there's nothing within her. This is such a common feature, isn't it? Life is like that. We want something, we don't get it. We are starved. We have so much hunger inside, and the hunger is not satisfied. It's not hunger for food. The soul has so many needs, but Eustacia Wye didn't have anything. So all that she had by default was Wilde, who shared a little bit of Eustacia. Eustacia Wye knew Wilde was flawed. Eustacia Wye knew that he was not the right person, but then that was her circumstance. And this brings to what Thomas Hardy always, in every single novel he portrayed that. We are all caught up in circumstances. We don't want the life we are leading. We want something else. But there's something else. How the life plays, how cruel life can be sometimes. That is shown so beautifully, so brilliantly, with such genius by Thomas Hardy. So the novel starts like that. And then Eustacia Wye wants a different life. She doesn't want Wilde. So she's always on, off with Wilde. And then comes the return of the native. Native means somebody who lived there. Like we all belong to some village. When we come back to the village, it is like the return of the native village. We say native place. So Klim is a very well-read, and he has seen the world, and he has come from Paris, he has spent time there, but he has come back to his village, to his mother, Mrs. Eubright. And his cousin is Thomason, whose marriage with Wilde was broken, and Wilde was in love with Eustacia. So there's a, almost like a triangle here. Now, what happens when now think of Eustacia Wye. She's caught up in a circumstance, and here comes Klim from another land, and she becomes blind to him. She doesn't see that it is incompatible. She's not compatible with Klim. Klim is not at all, not even like Wilde. He's not at all like her. But she traps him. There's a scene which when you read the novel, you will know. In that novel, she traps him by dressing up like a boy, and you should read the novel to understand how she traps, what intelligence she uses to get him in her life. And slowly, she traps him. Her magnetic eyes and her magnetic power to get him into her life succeeds. And Mrs. Eubright doesn't like Eustacia. Who likes Eustacia Wye? Especially in the Victorian age. Even in our age, people don't like Eustacia wives. But that time, Eustacia Wye was too far ahead of her time, too different from the world around her. So Mrs. Eubright did not like this girl, and against his mother's wishes, Klim leaves home and goes to Eustacia Wye, and they start living together. And then there are circumstances. He loses money, he has to work, and then he starts working in the fields, and Eustacia Wye goes mad. Actually, Eustacia Wye thought that she could take him away from the Egdon Heath, that place, the limited place, and take him somewhere very far away, like Paris or something, and she could enjoy life, and she could really live life to its fullest. But Klim was not like that. Klim liked the village. He liked simplicity. See, two different natures. One fiery, one simple. One wild, rebellious, one wants to adjust, be normal, be simple. Two people incompatible. That becomes a tragedy. And the tragedy goes so deep, it ends actually in a tragedy. And here life pays its tricks also. You know, in life, there are a lot of misunderstandings. Sometimes the misunderstanding happens because of circumstances, peculiar circumstance. And one circumstance I'll tell you about the novel. Mrs. Eubright comes to say sorry to her son, but at that time, even after marriage, Eustace slowly gets tired of Clem and begins to at least meet, Wildeave, and slowly they start getting closer together. See, Eustace had no outlet for her feelings, no outlet for her hunger. So that sympathy of Thomas Hardy for any human being. When he's looking at Eustace Thomas Hardy, he's looking at Eustace. When he's looking at Clem, he's looking at Clem and he's saying, this is life. Two people can't get together. They can't marry. And the marriage ends. Inside first. And then how it ends finally is Mrs. Eubright comes to the house. Eustace doesn't know that it's the mother who has come to say sorry. And she doesn't open the door. It's a stormy night. She's bitten by a snake and Mrs. Eubright dies. When Mrs. Eubright dies, Clem finds out. He accuses Eustace so harshly. And that seems so terrible. And by that time, Wildeave gets a lot of money. And he again comes to Eustace and says, come, let's run away. Eustace agrees. She has come back to her house. Clem has told her to get away from his life. The marriage has broken. And she comes back to her grandfather's house. And finally she says, I want to live. And she agrees to Wildeave's plans. But she knows Wildeave is not a good man. She is not her equal. She has met no equal. Her loneliness has become so complete that the river is flowing there and she jumps into the river and commits suicide. She ends her life. Because she said, that scene you should read. I'll tell you why you should read all these scenes. The scene where she traps Clem, the scene where she commits suicide is so hauntingly, what should I say, inevitable. What else can Eustace why do? What is left in her life? Why live like that? And she's so complete, so strong that life has been taken away so much. And she feels so bitter. She realizes my life has become finished. And she says, what do I do now? I can't go ahead. I can't go back. She ends her life. That scene is seen by Wildeave. He also jumps into the water. I'm sure he was really in love with Eustace. He was like her. And Clem, because of his goodness, he also jumps into the river. Three people are struggling. Clem is saved. Wildeave and Eustace, the two lovers who never united, they die. That's how it ends. Look at the drama. Now, why is this not a tragedy? I say it's not really a tragedy. It's a tragedy, but not in the way people say it's a very sad ending. You should have been happy. When something is not happy, it is not happy. It is realistic. It is life. So when you read Return of the Native, you realize life is so full of hardship. Life is always life. We say everything is normal. Nothing is normal. We all have deep hungers inside. We all have deep desires inside. And nobody to tell it. That is Eustace in you. We all are incompatible in our marriages. And that is the marriage between Clem and Eustace. We all love somebody. We sometimes compromise because we don't have anybody else. That is Wildeave and Eustace. The mother, she doesn't like the daughter-in-law. This is so common. She wants her son to follow her orders. That is Mrs. Eubright. They're all around you. That is life. That is the power of Return of the Native. And Thomas Hardy, he will not, compromise about reality. Never. Never. Thomas Hardy will not be Thomas Hardy if he does that. Thomas Hardy shows life. The cruel life as it is. The good life, some moments as it is. He shows especially characters. I would say his novels are the tragedy of character. Why I say that is because two people can't be together. Then they won't be. They won't be. And indirectly, he shows how life has to be lived in a very, very remote way. Life has to be lived by looking at reality, looking at the things as they are. And that is the reason why Thomas Hardy remains a classic author. Classic authors don't sentimentalize anything. Never, never. You will never see a classical author like Jane Austen or Shakespeare or Leo Tolstoy trying to change reality. Never. They will show reality as best, as delicately, as clearly as they have seen it. And they will present it. And that becomes a great story. That is the stuff of great stories. Why should we read it? We should read it because one novel you read, it's like living for one lifetime. You want to live 100 lives? Read 100 stories, 100 novels. So I will leave you at that, because if I start talking about Return of the Native, I'll start talking about the scenes, I'll spoil the novel for you. I hope you are now interested to read, and each scene is like a movie scene. Each scene is so much more than a movie, filled with feeling. You will cry, you will laugh, and at the end you will realize your own self. Thank you so much. This is Narendra Kumar, introducing Return of the Native for all of you. I hope you enjoyed the novel. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much.